I am looking forward to heading to the Peach Bowl, Steve. So we're going to talk about the Peach Bowl now. Um, is if Penn State wins this game, is this Penn State's best win of the season?
Yes. Right. Because it lasts the longest, right? Too. Right. I
Yeah.
mean, it's there you go. I mean, they're gonna beat an SEC team that's a top 10-ish team, and they get to talk about it for the next 6 months, 8 months, whatever it is. So yes, yeah.
I think that's about how I feel about it, and I don't know. I kind of keep getting similar feelings to how I felt last year, and I want to see how I feel after the bowl game. And I think this is why I haven't kind of like written a season recap post yet on the blog. Is I want to see how I feel after the bowl game in the sense that if they win this game, do I feel better about this season? And I think I will, just because of what you laid out, the fact that they went and beat an SEC team. This team doesn't seem like Ole Miss doesn't seem like they're going to have a lot of opt-outs, if any. They're still like a relatively younger team. I think again, it's now James Franklin's going up against a very good offensive mastermind, so to speak, in Lane Kiffin. Um, so yeah, I think this is the best win. I'll think the Iowa win forever will be the most impressive win in the season, unless they do
Mhm.
something that really blows me away. Um, but yeah, I think that's I think there's a lot riding on this game in the similar fashion of the way the Rose Bowl felt last year. Of hmm, like once the dust settles, you're gonna go, this is things are better here than we expected or we anticipated them to be, I guess would be
Yeah.
the
This
best way to
this
say that.
this gets to soothe the wounds if they win over Michigan and Ohio State, right? Then being the third best team in the Big Ten doesn't feel so bad when one of them is playing in the playoff and the other one, it beats you head to head, and people assume that they're better than you. So I mean, yes, it makes it better. Doesn't make it great, but it makes it better.
No, I think that's fair. Well, the other thing is the other one beat you head to head, sure, but also had a Heisman finalist, and now their starting quarterback no longer plays at said school.
Exactly.
Um,
Right.
so, I think that's interesting. Um, thing I'm most excited about for the bowl game is the stadium. I'm very excited to see the stadium. Everybody tells me that the stadium is incredible, amazing. So I'm excited about that. Um, apparently there's not a bad sight line, I've been told. I'm also excited to get some Chick-fil-A because I'm sure there'll be some form of free Chick-fil-A that will be handed out or something.
And you're doing the aquarium thing or not?
I don't think we're doing the aquarium. We are going to
Okay.
do, it sounds like we're going to do the College Football Hall of Fame,
Okay.
which
Okay.
I'm, as a history buff, I am excited about. We did the aquarium when we went to
Right.
the Auburn game.
Yep.
So, and we did World of Coke, even though I have my Coca-Cola here. Um, it was not a great, it was fine. It would be a great field trip, I think would be the best way to explain that experience. So if you're listening, I would skip that. Um, so yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for that. I'm excited. I'm interested to see how many Penn State people are there as well, because it feels like there's going to be a bigger contingent than normal.
Well, it's an easy trip, right? I mean, Atlanta's an easy trip. It's one flight from Pittsburgh and Philly and DC and Jersey airports. It's a reasonable drive. It's not driving all the way to Florida. So yeah, I guess I would be surprised if there weren't a sizable contingent. And I think that's an indicator of, what does it mean? And are we over the two losses? And are we better than, okay, we're okay being better than everybody but them. And the quarterback's going from Ohio State and there's next year. Yeah, I guess I'd be shocked if there wasn't a good Penn State turnout.
What are you most excited about, Steve?
I'm excited to watch it on TV and not have to deal with traffic and tickets and BS and whatever else. I'm interested. I think so far, and I haven't dug into it, as in terms of all the weeds of coverage, but there hasn't been much Lane Kiffin stuff yet. There's been a couple little social media things that were kind of fun, like whether he was intended or not. Like, I'm like, okay, it'd be cool if that guy was in your conference and you had to play him once a year, right? Like, there's a little bit of he doesn't care. It doesn't feel as scripted, as buttoned down, as whatever.
I think it's the button down is correct. I think it's almost he gets that college football is weird and he accepts that. And I think you compare that with other head coaches out there that like Harbaugh comes to mind of like it feels life and death to Harbaugh. College football feels life and death.
Hmm.
To Lane Kiffin, it feels like it's like playing a video game or something. He just feels very relaxed with it. So I am I think that's a exciting
Yeah, I mean,
aspect
his
to
journey has just been so crazy as a coach, right? Like life and death isn't exactly a thing in his world, right? You've been
right.
hired on the tarmac in LA, you've been like it's just you've been all over the country already and you're just having a good time. And I think that's true. I would love to get a little taste of that in the next week or so as they do some news conferences and things, just to see, just to have a little bit of fun. Because these games have to be fun because they mean something if you win. You'd say they don't mean anything if you lose, right? Like that's how you spin it. But they are just about an experience and an event. So make it enjoyable and get the most out of it that way.
I want to pick your brain because I think we've maybe had this discussion before at this time of year. But I was watching the I was watching the famous Toastery Bowl today. Western Kentucky came back to beat Old Dominion. Speaking of other, well, we already talked about Ricky Ronnie. Um, but their quarterback, they showed him, they went in overtime, and he is crying. And I think all of these people, like, I think that like those moments should be plastered or tattooed or thrown at all the people. Oh, there's too many bulls. Oh, bull season doesn't matter. These are still college football games. These kids are still going out there putting a lot of emotion, energy, whatever it may be, into these games. And I think for me, I think that's I think that's why I am I love bowl season. I also think for me, I'm a little bit anxious about the that going forward as we expand to 12 teams because we're going to lose maybe a little bit of that. Um, but we're also going to get at the opposite end of the spectrum, a more intense, heightened um, whole of that. So, I don't know. That's my gripe towards all these people that say, "Oh, the famous toastery bowl doesn't matter." Show that kid crying at the end of the
Oh
game.
yeah, I think it matters I think all of them matter to those people that are involved. And I think if a kid opts out, it matters to the kid who's taken his place. So I think that's okay. And next season will be interesting to see what happens with losing 4 teams worth of games, 4 games worth of teams, right? Because it's going to expand by 8 teams. That's 4 bowl games of quality teams that are off the list of going to a bowl game, right? And they were struggling to get enough. They didn't have enough winning records of teams this year to make it work. So I think feels like there's going to be some attrition there somewhere. That it's not going to make sense for somebody. But the ones that not that many though. ESPN props up most of them. A bunch of the early ones, right, or TV programming for ESPN if they're run by ESPN events. But yeah, I think they matter. They certainly matter to the people who are involved. I think it's often a junket for administrators and whatever else, and certain people on athletics departments and whatever else. But like the Peach Bowl, like I think those kind of places that know how to make their bowl a charitable endeavor for their community, I have a lot more bandwidth to appreciate them than I do the other ones that are just a TV show.
Right. No, that makes I get where you're getting at there. All right. Um, anything else? Anything else you want to discuss about bowls? Penn State's bowl.
No, looking forward to Penn State's Bowl. Looking forward to watching the other ones. Some of the other ones. I know I'll watch West Virginia and North Carolina, I think, play and
Yeah, that'll be a good
playoff
game.
games. Like there's a couple that I looked at. I'll watch Notre Dame and Oregon State, I think, just to see what Oregon State has left with their coach gone. I'm not watching every one of them, but there's probably a half dozen or so that I'll watch in Penn State's. That's what we're doing on the 30th. So looking forward to it.